QAnon is a thing. It's a thing that's happening. It's real. That is to say, QAnon, the movement, is real. The shit they're talking about is not. One of the central concerns, and I say this with the largest imaginable finger quotes around the word concerns, of QAnon supporters or QAnoners or whatever, is the idea that children are being abused. Incredible, I know. But not just that children are being abused, that there is in fact a cabal of liberal coastal elites who are all pedophiles and engage in blood libel by drinking they have this thing called adrenochrome, and it's like, I swear to God, it's literally the plot of the first Amnesia game. They torture the kids to get their blood, and the blood has the adrenaline. They take it, and it keeps them young. It's all horseshit. None of this works in actual science, but they believe in it. It's the same thing folks used to believe about the Jews, believe it or not. In fact, a lot of the stuff QAnoners believe seem to overlap very specifically with Jewish question conspiracy theories. But, you know, we can leave that aside. Let's just talk about the child abuse, okay? Are you ready? QAnoners often say they do what they do because they want to protect children. Ever heard of a Save the Children rally? Well, I'm here to make a case for you. That case is that A, QAnon is not anti-pedophile or anti-child abuse. B, QAnon may actually be pro-child abuse, pro-pedophilia, and that they are making it markedly harder to actually protect children from abuse in this country and around the world. Let's get started. First of all, it is extremely important to remember that QAnon's origins, it rose to prominence on 8chan, which was one of the most prominent child pornography websites available over here in Ye West. I have never myself been on 8chan because, as I understand it, that place is literally, what was at least, literally just a fucking hotbed of child pornography, which is fantastic. Phenomenal place to start a movement which is apparently about Donald Trump defeating pedophilic liberal overlords. But, hey, funny, the person who owned 8chan, I don't believe he currently does, but used to, Jim Watkins, controls a company that hosted scores of domains whose names suggest they're connected to child pornography. Content warning: if you're not okay with hearing about this shit, then fucking leave. While Mother Jones did not visit the domains because of strict laws relating to viewing child sex abuse material, same reason I never went on 8chan, internet registration and hosting data suggested a minimum that Watkins profited from domains with names explicitly related to pedophilia, the very thing QAnon supporters say they're motivated to end. The domain's names include terms such as preteen, schoolgirl, and child, alongside graphic terms for genitalia and words like rape or love. It's unclear what, if anything, is currently being served at the domains. However, an analysis of metadata collected years ago from one by archive.org showed dozens of file names and links containing highly subjective terms, including XXX preteen, children, and sexual references to girls aged 12 to 15. Some of these domains go back to the 1990s. So, again, the actual contents of these domains have not been examined by Mother Jones. No doubt there are plenty of perfectly innocent things you could host on a domain called XXX preteen. You know, that's, I mean, I don't know. You know, it's always possible. Don't think so, though. Personally not buying it. Feel like that might have something to do with child pornography, just a guess on my part. But that is not all. I've talked previously on this stream about how Jim Watkins was actually in control of the security apparatus that allowed these Q drops to take place in the first place, or at least at a point he was in charge of it, meaning that there was at least some point in time where Jim Watkins was either himself or in contact with some element of the person who's behind these Q drops, probably multiple people, because again, this is a completely nonsense fucking horseshit anonymized conspiracy theory that has levied failed after failed prediction over and over and over again, and people still believe it because they love the idea that they're part of some sort of anti-authoritarian populist movement. Yeah, people love that cult shit. You know how it is. But so how do we begin this? Okay, so QAnon, deeply rooted in like a fairly pedophilic community, really weird for people who now claim they want to save the children. It gets funnier than that, though, because there's also a lot of QAnon supporters on 4chan's poll, and that was where they kind of like started initially. And I remember, I've told this story before on stream, but the people on poll, they're all Nazis. They fucking hate me over there. They talk about me all the time. I'm always on their minds, you know? And I appreciate them allowing me to live rent-free. Truly, repping my socialist values, the abolition of landlords. But there was a while ago, they tried one of their umpteenth billion attempts to destroy me. Somebody photoshopped a picture of me flirting with a person they claimed was like underage or something, like 16 or something, and it was immediately proven to be fake. Like the profile picture was incorrect, it was cropped poorly, there was no real evidence. But the funniest thing that happened was, if you guys remember, because I've said this before, by the way, never ever ever be an online content creator. The whole world is out to destroy you, okay? It's a constant fucking PR war against people who will do everything and anything to destroy you, okay? But however, in that thread, rather than talk about me, all they did was talk about the age of consent. I'm not kidding. Half of the thread was like, listen, I hate Vosh. He's a soy boy commie after all, but is there anything really wrong with fucking a 16-year-old as an adult? I mean, they're post-pubescent, like that was half of the thread. I'm not joking. That was half of the thread. So these QAnon-aligned people, they're really weird about kids. Now, it wouldn't exactly... I'm not kidding, by the way. I know I speak in hyperbole from time to time. When I say half the thread, I mean that with absolute sincerity. It was astonishing. And there's a lot to be said for projection as a concept, People don't like to think of themselves as bad people. So if you're like kind of a creepy pedophile dude who has no life and nothing going for them, doesn't it make sense that these people would then try to adopt narratives or join conspiracy theories that make them feel as though they're part of a war against these things to begin with? It does. I mean, that's how projection works. And people have always done stuff to this effect, Now, with regards to QAnon, though, it goes well beyond this. Because QAnon's not just online anymore. QAnon is now this... Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Oh, God, I'm even forgetting. Remember the Reddit anti-pedo subreddit where the main mod got busted for being a pedophile? Does anyone remember that? Fuck, I just remember that off the top of my head. I don't even remember the fucking specifics. What was it? Yeah, Pedogate, and the main guy ended up being a pedophile? Yeah. The projection, like, this is like fucking game number one for these people, Yeah, it's real. And there were like other people too. Fuck me, dude. But whatever the case may be, okay, so all this pedophiles, whatever. But QAnon's not just offline. QAnon's not just online. It's offline, too. Oh, yeah, they were defending him, too. Lolly police as well. Yeah, crazy how that works. Yeah, the reason why they're anti-pedophile for everyone but themselves, you know what I mean? It's like the anti-pedophile types on the online conspiracy right, they're like incels. Like, they want to keep women from having sex with everyone but them. That's what makes them angry, The issue isn't that they're having sex at all, it's that they're having sex with other people. So they're like, damn, all these other pedophiles taking up all the fucking kids for us to abuse. Anyway, that creepy shit aside, QAnon has infiltrated the real world as well, so how am I going to pin the blame on them, If it's not just online, how do we move past that? Well, here's a funny little thing. Have you guys seen this? More than 90 anti-trafficking organizations are denouncing QAnon in an open letter, 96 to be specific, signed by groups like Freedom Network USA, Alliance to End Slavery and Trafficking, and Human Trafficking Institute, and more, saying QAnon is harming the actual work they're doing to prevent sex trafficking. And it goes on in that effect. Why? Is this evidence that all 96 of those anti-sex trafficking organizations are in cahoots with the deep state? Well, you could believe that if you're a fucking moron. But more importantly, think about it. You are a anti-sex trafficking organization, a legitimate one. You've been around for decades. You do real work to help real children who are being sex trafficked. Would it help your cause if suddenly the narrative about anti-sex trafficking and anti-pedophilia was hijacked by far-right conspiracists more obsessed with the idea of destroying the Democrats in Hollywood and what have you than they are in actually participating in the process of helping child abuse victims? How do you think it would help you if now when people look up stuff relating to child sex trafficking, preventing child abuse, saving children from abuse, instead of being linked to real orgs with real operational efforts designed to help those children, instead you get linked to QAnon sites? Funny that QAnon has decided that Trump is the God Emperor who is fighting against the pedophile cabal, when Trump himself is a great fan of Jeffrey Epstein, tremendous friends, back in the day, and he would brag about their shared love of young girls. I mean, it's really does defy it really does defy comprehension. If you are a QAnoner, I want to be clear, you don't give a fuck about abused children. Just be honest. You have a problem with Jews and Democrats, okay? Just quit. Just stop, okay? You don't have a problem with abused children. You're fine with it. You may even like it, frankly. You may even like the idea if you're the participant. You don't care. You don't. QAnon has never, ever done anything to meaningfully help child sex abuse victims. That has just not happened at all. Wasn't there an effort to address child sexual abuse and child sex trafficking that was pushed by the Trump administration that actually ended up getting funded about 20% of their necessary budget? I remember that off the top of my head, too. There was something like Trump started this task force, but then underfunded it so severely that it ended up being completely irrelevant, completely useless. Anyway, yeah, it's all a virtue signal. Everything they do, this whole QAnon obsession with child abuse and child trafficking, all of it is a big fucking virtue signal. QAnon is not about preventing child abuse. QAnon is not about protecting children. Trump is not about protecting children. Trump has left many children in concentration camps at the border and ICE detention facilities where there have been thousands of incidents of sexual abuse against underage people. He doesn't give a fuck about any of these kids. The only thing QAnon supporters care about with regards to child abuse is to use them as a shield so they can more easily propagate a far-right conspiracy and accuse anybody who takes issue with their conspiracism of being in favor of children being abused. Well, I pose a counter-narrative, okay? QAnoners are in fact the ones who like children being abused because you need them to be abused so you can use them as your shield. They are the controlled obfuscation you rely on in order to get away with your shit, as far-right people have for ages, because it was in fact accusations of pedophilia that people used as an excuse to prevent gay people from having marriage equality. They do the same thing with trans people. Anytime conservatives run out of arguments, they're like, well, the children. What about the children? Such a meaningless phrase that it's actually been turned into a fucking meme, okay? Here's what you can do. Here's what you can do if you actually care about child abuse, okay? I saw a lot of people online really mad about cuties. Remember cuties? Looked pretty fucking creepy. Haven't seen it myself, not gonna lie. Looked pretty creepy. But is cuties itself the heart, the origin of child abuse? Is this like really the big fucking war we need to be fighting? Well, no. It is a very prominent, very high profile example of some weird ass shit. But hey, here's a suggestion from me to you. If you actually care about this crap, why don't you focus on fixing the issues that meaningfully hurt children? Child marriage is extremely prevalent in the US. The cycle perpetuates across generations. About 1 in 5 children around the world is married. Jesus fuck. According to a new report from the UN Population Fund, and underage marriage is not just an issue in other countries. In the United States, more than 1/5 minors were married between 2000 and 2015, most girls, more than 80% of them married to an adult. It's extremely prevalent here in the United States. And it goes on. So, in the US, it is legal to marry underage children to adults. That's cool. You'll never guess which party seems most adamant in defending the perpetuation of that legality. Because if you actually look at these laws, when they're challenged in state legislators, it is very most often the Republicans who are insistent on allowing children to be married to adults. It's also generally conservative communities that are okay with stuff like child beauty pageants. Hey folks, remember how up in arms conservatives got about like child drag queens? Because there were like 2 or 3 of them that got a lot of media prominence. How about the child beauty pageants that have been going on for literal fucking decades in this country? Much larger, far more participants. You're okay with that, right? I know who's okay with that. Trump's okay with that. Because Trump walked into the changing room of a teen beauty pageant while they were changing, you know? He bragged about it. Yeah, to go see young girls getting changed. I know Trump's okay with it. He loves that shit. It's like Naked girl bonanza for him. Anytime he can just walk on in there. Our president, by the way. You want to help prevent child abuse? Okay? It's not a big, crazy conspiracy where you get to be one against the world. Okay? That's not how it works. If you want to fix these problems, you have to recognize that slow, tenacious efforts from a plurality of organizations is the only meaningful way to fix it. You want to do that? Fine. Here are some things that you can do, okay? First of all, you want to promote child sex education. I've said this before and I'll say this again, okay? When you educate a child about sex or reproduction, you give them the tools to understand what's being done to them. You know how most child sexual abuse happens? It happens from adults taking advantage of the fact that the children are too sheltered to know what's going on, you know? You've probably seen this in dramatic recreations of child abuse, so much that it's almost a trope, you know? It's playtime. Don't tell others. You know, this is normal. This is our secret. You know how they can do that? That's real. That's what happens. You know how they can get away with that? Because they understand that children don't know what the fuck is going on. When children are taught this shit, when they go to school, fifth grade, whatever, when an appropriate time is, and by the way, fifth grade is perfectly understandable, appropriate time to learn about sex. By the way, I don't know why the fuck the conservatives get so up in arms about this particular aspect of education. I learned it at fifth grade. I think that's perfectly acceptable. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Fifth grade, you learn that shit. It helps you understand if you are being abused. And that's essential. You need to give them that vocabulary. You need to give them the tools necessary to know if and when abuse is taking place. That's a fucking number one right there. That's big time number one. Another thing that you can do, by the way, is stop promoting repressive gender roles, okay? One of the reasons little girls get abused is because they're taught to be demure and submissive to adults, especially adult men. And one of the reasons little boys get abused is because they're taught, even past sex education, that they should always enjoy sex, that it's totally pog and awesome if they want to get abused by an older woman, that if their babysitter fucking whatever, then it's rad, and that they're gay if they didn't like it. These repressive gender roles are incredibly destructive to people because they put them in mindsets which make it easier to abuse them. Shoe'n'Head talks about this shit all the time, too. Shoe'n'Head will tweet like, hey, why the fuck is this news article which describes a rape of a 15-year-old boy by his female teacher being put off as a positive? You know, it'll be like, this is how it goes, you know? If it's a male teacher and the female student, it's teacher rape student. If it's a female teacher and a male student, the headline is a young teacher arrested after sex scandal with one of her students. And they'll show a picture of her, like a cute picture of her at the beach or something like that. Yeah, South Park did a whole fucking episode on that attitude. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. This is the thing. If you want to address child sexual abuse, these are issues you have to deal with. By the way, one of the reasons why we have so many fucking sex slaves here in America, sex trafficking, our immigration policy. As long as we have an immigration policy which incentivizes illegal immigration, because our immigration system is fucking dog shit, there will be child sex trafficking victims in this country. Why is TSA so obsessed with how many ounces of lotion I bring in a bottle and not obsessed with the little girls who are being brought over, grabbed by the wrist by older men who lead them onto planes and out of the country or into the country to Sacramento or to Chicago or these other hub cities where they bring child sex slaves all over the place? Why? Who are they protecting? These are real issues with real solutions that we could fix if we cared about them. Okay? Yeah, the child abuse happening at the border camps. Yeah, 100. Oh, yeah. There are literally thousands of children being raped by ICE agents. As we speak, it's happening right now. Oh, hey, we're just talking about in America, by the way. If you actually care about child sex abuse and child sex trafficking, why do you just care about Americans? I mean, I know, by the way, the type of people who are into QAnon don't give a fuck about non-white children, but let's say you do. Let's say you're a different type of QAnoner, okay? What about the rest of the world? What about other countries where child marriage or child sex trafficking are extremely prominent? What can we do to help them? I mean, they're children too, right? Well, the best thing that we can do to help them, frankly, is to engage in global, political, and non-governmental advocacy, which expands the reach of progressivism and feminism all across the world. Let's not, let's not forget, in a large portion of the world, the concern of little girls being abused and patriarchy are deeply intertwined. I know some people get like triggered the moment they hear the word patriarchy, but like, let's be fucking real here, okay? The arranged marriage shit, the children being arranged to adults shit, the rape of girls and they can't do or say anything about it because they don't have the money or social resources to leave their abusive husband shit. This is pretty intricately tied to gender roles in other parts of the world and in this part of the world. So if you want fewer children to be abused, you should be supportive of the idea of feminism and other liberating ideologies making their way around the world. Except, wait, why is it that from the far-right conservative types, the types who tend to be into QAnon, why do I always see them saying shit like Eastern women are better because they haven't been corrupted by Western feminism? You ever seen that shit from them? You know what that means? They want them young, they want them quiet, they want them demure, they want them submissive because they're easier to abuse that way. You don't give a fuck. You don't give a shit about protecting children, okay? You want little girls who are raised up to be dolls, porcelain dolls, and then the nanosecond you wouldn't get arrested for marrying them, you want to snatch them up before they learn what it's like to have sex with somebody else, what it's like to develop an independent confidence or sense of confidence, what it's like to have an independent income so they're not completely dependent on you. If you want to protect children, QAnoners, you are doing a terrible fucking job. And in fact, you're enabling child abuse all over the place by making it harder for real anti-sex trafficking orgs to do their job, by defending politicians and policies which promote child abuse, and by attacking ideologies designed to liberate those who are being abused now. So stop, I guess. I mean, chill.